Oh, here we go. I don't know what happened. It just didn't work the first time. But anyway. Hello, everyone! I am Zazubaar, and welcome back to the Demons from Outer Space. Joining me, as always, Super DM64.
Yo.
We're back, kids, after a week break. Sorry we took off last week, but we actually had to change the day we were going to record the show last week because we were going to do our review of DBZ Battle of Gods on the day we usually do DFOS, which we recorded. I'm sure Dylan will have that up in the near future. That's, of course, our addendum to the DBZ movie reviews that we did on Dylan and mine's channel, but it was Dylan's series. It's complicated. About a year back.
It's a long story.
I think we've told it on the show before, so we won't bore you with that. But not that I'm saying that you're a boring storyteller, Dylan. I would never say that about you, to your face anyway. But I'm just kidding. So that'll be coming up soon, right, Dylan? In the coming future.
Yeah, I mean, I just got to get up that episode of Kaiju Spotlight, and then right after that.
Which is finally like a foreseeable thing. Like that's happening in like the next couple weeks.
Yeah, because it's finished. I just got to. I'm making a few slight alterations in post.
I have seen it.
And then it will be up. And then after that, I will edit the DBZ movie review. So yeah, hopefully soon.
Yeah, like 2 weeks maybe.
Best case scenario.
Okay, cool. So that'll be up soon. And that's basically like an episode of DFOS, so I figured that it wouldn't be a huge crime if we didn't do the show last week because we had that. So I know it didn't go up, it hasn't gone up yet, but when that goes up, that'll like be a filler for that week we took off. Basically, I'm just trying to find an excuse for the fact of we were going to record Friday night, but by the time I got home from work, I was like, Dylan, I can't do it. I'm too tired. It's going to be like that episode where I was sick all over again, where it's like, hey, Dylan. Fuck Justin Bieber. It's that for 2 hours, and I didn't want to do that, so I decided we decided to put off the show for a week. But we're back, and not many interesting things have happened. It's been kind of a slow week in terms of like the big nothing major has happened in terms of like the wider world, in terms of like stuff that we care about. I mean, there's been like global issues like Ebola, fucking ISIS. Like that's all. We don't give a fuck about that. That's all outside of our jurisdiction. Because I learned something recently, Dylan. You just all that shit, all that like political shit, you just gotta stop caring because you can't control that shit. That's why I don't get involved in politics, just because it's like I just don't. There's nothing I can do about it, so why am I gonna get angry about it? Which is a really shitty viewpoint to have, especially given that we live in a democracy, or at least we're supposed to. So. I'm doing a lot of talking. Dylan, what have you been up to?
Not a damn thing, honestly.
Really? You haven't been watching anything?
I mean, I've been watching fucking... I basically have 3 television shows right now in my life. Doctor Who Series 8, Gotham, and the latest season of SVU. Oh, South Park. I almost forgot about South Park. So those...
You've been, like, coming hard over that for the past couple of days. Why don't you talk about that?
What, South Park?
Yeah, I mean, I know we talked about it on the last SOS, but, you know.
This season, it's freaking amazing.
Yeah, I haven't been watching it because I don't watch South Park.
No surprise. But,
I don't watch anything. Like, there's like a running joke inside of the SOS that, like, Bill just doesn't watch anything.
Bill doesn't do things.
Well, no, I do things, I just don't watch things, because I don't have time. Or the patience.
I mean, I don't really know what I can say about it that I haven't already, like, said elsewhere, but it's been an amazing...
I mean, to be fair, not everybody who listens to the show is necessarily friends with you on Facebook.
No, in fact, none of them are, I would wager, because I like to keep my friends list very small and manageable, but...
Which is hilarious, because, like, Facebook is the only place I see Dylan pour out his heart and soul. And by pour out his heart and soul, I mean he says more things than he usually does. I don't know. You say more like opinionated things than. That's not true. I don't know. I don't know what I mean. I just mean like it's different. You're different on Facebook. I don't know how to describe it. It's complicated. I don't know why I even brought it up.
I don't even... What are we talking about?
I'm sorry. I'm just questioning myself tonight. It's weird.
What are we talking about?
I'm very unsure of myself. Dylan, you want to host the show and I can just sit here and make jokes?
I mean, no, not really.
Alright, fine.
But yeah, this season...
Way to be a fucking first mate, asshole. Captain gets sick and you're like, no, fuck this, the ship's going down.
Give me a lifeboat.
Women and children first. Bill, we're the only ones on the boat. Well, alright then, get on the boat.
I'm fucking punching women and children, stealing the lifeboat.
I guess that was in the Titanic movie, wasn't it? A scene of a guy doing that. That's in all those movies. The most hilarious one.
I would throw people overboard so that I could get to the lifeboat.
No, but the most hilarious one of like a guy being an asshole to save himself, because I don't know what it did. Remember that you've seen Snakes on a Plane, right?
Yeah.
Remember that scene where the fucking asshole in the trench coat, the balding guy, grabs the lady's dog and just chucks it at one of the snakes?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what is the purpose of that except to establish that you're an asshole? And also the visual of the snake grabbing the dog in midair and swallowing it in one bite was hysterical. And then he gets killed in like a second anyway.
Also, I decided that if I was ever a ship captain, because the ship captain is supposed to go down with the ship, always bring some sort of animal that you can then name captain in a crisis.
What kind of animal? Like a parrot? So that way it could talk?
It could be anything, a parrot, dog, whatever.
Well, no, you want to get something that can, like... Well, if you do... Okay, Dylan, you got a dog on the deck of a boat, and you're like, oh, his name is Captain now. He's the cat. You put the hat on, and you put a cork pipe in his mouth. You make him look like fucking Popeye.
I mean, a Roman emperor once declared a horse a member of Senate, so why not?
That's different, though. Like he didn't name it like fucking the Rome. He didn't name it the new emperor.
No, but I mean, he could have. He was that crazy.
Which one was it? Fucking Caligula?
What?
Was it like fucking Caligula or some shit?
It was Caligula.
Was it really?
Mm-hmm.
I was watching. Watch Mojo did a top 10 list of top 10 best John Hurt performances, and they put his performance as Caligula on there. Not for the movie Caligula, but for the what was it? I think it was
who played?
I think it was a BBC miniseries that they did back in like the 70s.
Who played?
John Hurt always looked old. He never looked young.
Who played Caligula in that fucking movie? Wasn't it one of the McDowell?
I think it was Malcolm McDowell, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so too.
I believe it was Malcolm McDowell, who's great, but he's not John Hurt. Malcolm McDowell is like,
yeah,
it's going to sound like a really asshole thing to say. He's kind of like a poor man's John Hurt.
I mean, he's got some great performances under his belt.
He's great, but listen, being a poor man's John Hurt is nothing to sneeze at. But I'm just saying that, like, if I had to like call him anything, it'd be like, all right, we couldn't get John Hurt to get Malcolm McDowell. No, am I crazy? I think that's a fair statement.
Holy crap.
Think about it.
John Hurt really did always look old.
He did. I've never seen a picture of him where it's like, yeah, that's a young John Hurt. Even in fucking Night of the Doctor, when they show the face of the War Doctor when he was younger, he looks old. It's
like he's a fucking teenager walking around looking like he's 30. It's like...
Yeah, I know people who look like that, though. Like, I know people who age very, very quickly. Like, they have full beards when they're 15. But yeah, it's crazy. I was a little bit mad, though, because I felt like they were going, and they do this a lot, which pisses me off. They tend to go, they do this weird thing where sometimes they'll do it based on popularity, and then other times they'll do it based on personal opinion, or then they'll mix the two. And it's really stupid when they mix the two, because it leads to some really weird decisions. Like, for instance, I watched their list for the top 10 decade-defining TV shows of the 2000s, and I'm like, of course House is going to be on there, because House was this huge pop culture phenomenon. And guess what, Dylan?
House was on there?
Not even an honorable mention.
Oh, well then.
How does that make sense? They put like fucking they put Survivor over House.
I mean, I'll give them
Survivor.
I'll give them this. They're not predictable.
No, I agree, but it's like, but in terms of something that's decade defining, that's not a personal opinion, right? That's more of like a historically, this was a show that really made a huge splash in the early 2000s. And I would say of all the TV shows that came out, like obviously Lost was on there, The Sopranos. Listen, The Sopranos being number one, yes, I agree with that. That's absolutely accurate. Sopranos was a huge thing.
Fucking Fear Factor.
Fear Factor wasn't on there. I would have listen, Fear Factor. Look, they put some weird shit on there, like fucking I can't even remember now. I cannot even remember. Oh, they put The Wire on there, and I was like, yes, The Wire was like, and they even say it. They're like, oh, The Wire was like the best TV show that nobody watched, and it's like, well, then it shouldn't be on here because it didn't define the decade.
But people who did.
This isn't the top 10 best TV shows of the 2000s. This is decade defining. House. Way more impactful than fucking The Wire. Like, if you go up to any person on the street who knows anything about pop culture, and you show them a picture of, like, The Wire and a picture of House, which one do you think they're going to point out as, like, oh, that's what this is?
Depends, because if they are one of those few people who watch The Wire, the small number of people who did watch The Wire would not shut up about it.
Fair enough, but those people would probably also know who House is, right?
It's like, you know how obsessive Breaking Bad fans are.
Yeah, definitely.
Myself included.
Absolutely, myself included as well.
The Wire had the same sort of impact on the people who actually did watch it.
But here's my problem. It's not decade defining if nobody's fucking heard of it. Like, I know what it is, but I've never watched it. It didn't define any part of the 2000s for me. House did.
It's like I've never watched Firefly. I'm aware of what Firefly is.
Right, exactly. Like, dude, we grew up, we're like roughly the same age. Like 2004, oh my god, you couldn't turn your head without seeing House somewhere. It was everywhere. Now listen, I'm a huge House fan, so maybe this sounds biased, but I can't even imagine why they would put The Wire on there and not House. It fucked with me. It pissed me off. Not that I really care, but it was like it peeved me.
What else did they have?
They had I mentioned Survivor earlier, and I jabbed at it, but I was like, yeah, Survivor was a big deal. But they put that over Lost, and I was like, you're high. That Survivor should not be over Lost. I think that they should have put Lost at number 2. It was at like number 6. You know what I mean?
It was a big deal.
It was a huge deal. That pilot was like if a movie came out. It was enormous. You couldn't again, as the same thing I said with House, you couldn't turn your head without seeing it somewhere.
Mm-hmm. It was one boat that I missed. I never knew anything about Lost, but I know it was a huge...
I watched the first season, and then I got bored.
I know it was a big sensation. I just want to know why there was a polar bear. Bill, why was there a polar bear?
I don't remember. I watched it when I was a kid, believe it or not.
I have yet to hear anybody give me a good explanation for that damn polar bear.
That's how long ago when fucking Lost was on, was that I was a kid when it was on, and now, 10 years later. Can you believe that, like, fucking, not the reboot, but the new relaunch of Doctor Who is going to be 10 years old next year?
No, I didn't even think of that.
It's crazy, right? It's fucking crazy.
I mean, it doesn't feel that way to me, because obviously I didn't get into it until, like, 2008.
Same here. Same here. Exactly. I feel the same way. But yeah. I don't know what we were talking about. I don't really care. Doctor Who, we might as well get into this now. We missed last week, so we didn't get the chance to talk about Kill the Moon, but it's kind of a big episode and very, very defining for the season. I think it was supposed to be, but I don't think they followed through with it enough. So, but I guess we can talk. Well, let's start with Kill the Moon, and then we can go into Mummy on the Orient.
For starters, they did not kill the moon.
Well, but they were gonna.
Which was disappointing. It's kind of like Destroy All Monsters. It's like false advertisement, man.
Yeah, I know. It's a great title, though, and it's such a, like, you could not get away with that plot on any other show except Doctor Who. Like, as somebody who knows a lot more about Star Trek than I do, could they have, like, done that on Star Trek and gotten away with it?
Maybe not with Earth's moon. I can see them doing it with, like, some other planet's moon.
But with the moon.
The moon, they probably wouldn't. I don't know if it's a matter of they couldn't get away with it or not.
But they just wouldn't even think of it.
Yeah, I don't think it...
Not that I'm saying that Star Trek is any less intelligent than Doctor Who, but I'm just saying that, like, level of craziness. Like, Doctor Who will go to places that Star Trek wouldn't, or Star Wars wouldn't.
I could totally see that sort of plot being done in Star Trek, again, if it was on some other, like, alien moon, but I don't think they would ever do it with our moon. That ballsy.
That was really like, wow. Like, the moon is like, that's a big deal. Like, that delves into Doctor Who history. Like, that's where the base of the Cybermen was in the second Doctor's run. Like, there's been some big Doctor Who shit that's happened on the moon.
The moon, of course, was very important in season 6.
Yeah, Day of the Moon, exactly. The moon landing. I was like, I can't believe that they did this, because it's like Doctor Who's got a problem in terms of like they constantly go into the future, and they catch up to that future, and it's like, oh, it's not like that. It's not what that looked like. The future that we're representing in the show is not what it looked like when we did it.
I noticed a pattern the other day.
What?
The first 3 episodes of every season of Doctor Who followed the same pattern. First episode, you meet either the new companion or the new Doctor, or in the case of season 5, both, and the story takes place in the present day. Second episode, you go to the future. Third episode, you go to the past. It happens every time. The only time it didn't happen was last season because there was all that weird stuff going on with Amy and Rory.
Yeah. Well, hang on. Season 6 didn't start off that way. We didn't meet any new companions. It did start off in the present day, though. You're right about that. They usually do start off in the present day. No! Season 8 didn't start off in the present day. It started off in Victorian London.
Oh, that was... Alright, good point.
Though they've gone back to that so much now ever since they introduced Vastra, Strax, and Jenny that it might as well be. Which is something I actually really like, because I'm kind of getting sick of the whole... The companion has to be from modern day. I get why they do it. It's all about relatability, but I really like that we have these mainstay companions or these mainstay repeating characters who aren't from the modern day. It just makes things more interesting.
I would love a fucking alien companion.
They're talking about that because there's a lot of rumors that this is going to be Clara's last season.
Give me like a blue dude.
Which, the way they've been developing her, I would not be terribly sad about. I like Clara, but she's getting a little bit bitchy to me. Which I guess is kind of the main point of this episode, though, which we'll talk about. But it's interesting. She's becoming bitchy, but she's becoming more interesting. It's really bizarre. I don't know if that's a problem. I guess not. I guess her character should be more interesting than...
Well, she's kind of reminding me of Skylar in Breaking Bad, where I'm like...
Yeah, I agree.
I'm like, you bitch, you are so right about this.
You are completely right. You are completely justified. Well... I think it's debatable with the Doctor, though. With Walter White, it's not really debatable. Like, you just happen to sympathize with Walter White. I don't think that's the case with the Doctor. I mean, of course, I think in terms of viewers watching the show, we're going to root for the Doctor more than the companion, because this is the guy we've been following, at least in terms of the character, not the actor, for the past 50 years. But I think that it's a little bit more debatable with the Doctor, because it's like... I mean, yes, she felt that... The fact that he made her feel bad is obviously not a good thing. But he also has a really good point about why he did it. Because this is also... Like, a lot of people... I've heard a lot of people online going, I don't like this new Doctor. He's too morally ambiguous. He's being an asshole. It's like... No, he's just being honest about it. The Doctor has been doing stuff like this forever. I was reminded of that episode in Season 5 when... The Doctor refused to partake in the negotiations with the Silurians because he's not from Earth. Same thing in Day of the Doctor. What I like about the Doctor is that he knows his limits in terms of being the Earth's guardian. He's not from the planet, so there are decisions that he can't make for Earth. And I think that's the point he was trying to make to Clara was, because this is something that the Robin Hood episode was touching on too, Robot of Sherwood, that she almost looks at him, she says it in that episode, she looks at him as this larger-than-life hero. And I think what he did in Kill the Moon was not necessarily just to prove that, but that's kind of what it did, but also to remind her, this is real life. Yes, I'm this incredible, fantastic being from another planet, but I'm also not a superhero. I'm just a crazy guy who travels around in a box. That's what the Doctor says in the God Complexes. I'm not a hero. I'm literally just a madman in a box. And I think that this was a restatement of that. What are your thoughts?
I would agree.
Because I was watching it and I'm like, again, I kind of felt the same. Well, we'll get to Danny in a second because I have a lot to say about him too. But which is funny because he only has like 2 seconds of screen time in Kill the Moon.
He's not in it much.
He's not in Mummy on the Orient Express either that much. He's only in a couple scenes, and even then it's for very, very brief. But it's bizarre because it's like, but then you go over to Clara's side, and it's like, but again, it's this confusing thing. Like, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be with her 100% because it's like, I mean, the way the scene plays, it's like it's almost like we're supposed to, but I don't because I get what the Doctor is saying and I absolutely agree with him. But I also get how she feels. Like, he abandoned her. She's not... I mean, at this point, she should probably be more used to it than the episode played it. Of, like, you know, he does these really big, heroic things, but he's also not perfect. You know, he's not Superman. Not that Superman is necessarily perfect. He makes mistakes, too. But the Doctor isn't even he doesn't even think of himself as a superhero. He's not even a superhero. He's just a traveler. So it's really interesting because it's like the point that she brings up is that
after what went down in Day of the Doctor, she should be pretty used to the whole.
That's the interesting thing, though, isn't it? I thought about this recently. I was thinking about Kill the Moon, and I was thinking about the debate they have and how Clara breaks down, tells the Doctor to leave, and the point that she brings up that I love is oh God, what did she? I'm gonna get the quote wrong, but whatever. The basic idea is. You walk our Earth, Doctor, you breathe our air. That moon is yours as well, and you can help us if we need it. And I agree with her, and I absolutely agree with the sentiment. I don't think he should have abandoned her. I don't think he should have, like, abandoned them. That was a little bit of a dick move. Because that's the thing that's patronizing, is, like, he felt the need to, like, leave them on their own. And he says, I'm going to take off the training wheels. It's like, that's patronizing. That's where she's right. But the gesture itself, what that means, he's absolutely right. It's really interesting. This season of Doctor Who has been way more thought-provoking than it's been in a while. Like, this is probably the most thought-provoking it's been since season 6, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, stuff being like, wow, what does that imply about this character who I love and that I've been following for so long and has had so much development? Which is actually kind of interesting because it's like, the Doctor is one of the most like wide-standing, longest-running fictional characters in recent memory. But if you think about it, we know very little about him. You know what I mean? It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we know
nothing about his background.
We have very little information. We know he slept in a barn.
And I don't know how that makes sense. I don't know why there are barns on Gallifrey. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Gallifreyans, they have to farm something, don't they? I'm sure they have some sort of time cows that they...
I meant to bring this up in the last episode. I didn't get the chance. I forgot to make this point. Is there a difference between being from Gallifrey and being a Time Lord?
Yeah, you know, I think it's explained somewhere, whether it's in, like, something from Old Who that I haven't seen, or whether it's, like, in some of the Expanded Universe shit or whatever. But I believe I've read somewhere that it's explained that, like, Time Lords are, like... They're
higher Gallifreyans?
Yeah, they're, like, a step above, like, normal Gallifreyans. Like, I don't know if it's, like, a mutation thing, or if it's, like, they're just, like, super Gallifreyans, or I don't know.
So do Gallifreyans not... So is it just Time Lords that regenerate?
Maybe.
Do normal Gallifreyans do that?
Maybe
because they explain in season 6 that the reason why Time Lords regenerate is that because of their exposure to the time vortex.
Right. Well, that might be what turns some of them into Time Lords.
Well, that's exactly right. That's what Vastra says, is that the reason why your people are what they are is because of their exposure to the time vortex. But so does that mean that does that mean, oh, you know what though? Maybe it does make sense, because it's like the Doctor. Remember in season 3 when the Master is explaining, the Doctor is explaining how you go to the Academy, and that there's a ceremony. I guess that ceremony is how you become a Time Lord.
Well, according to the Doctor Who wiki, which, you know, it's a wiki, so take it with a grain of salt.
So take this with a massive, massive grain of salt.
Although I do tend to trust wikis of like geeky things like this because there are fans that watch this shit like a hawk.
But here's hang on before you say it. Here's the problem with Doctor Who. It contradicts itself constantly.
Yeah, it does. But according to the article on the Doctor Who wiki about Gallifreyans, Gallifreyans were a humanoid species native to the planet Gallifrey. The powerful Time Lords arose from this species and considered themselves to be the elite of Gallifreyan society.
Oh, okay, so you have to become a Time Lord.
Yeah, apparently.
Here's my problem with that, though. So, in everything, whenever they refer to the people of Gallifrey, they always just say the Time Lords. But that's not true. So whenever pre-Day of the Doctor, they would just go, he wiped out all of the Time Lords. All the Time Lords are dead. It's like, no, all the Gallifreyans are dead, right? Because if he blew up back when that was what happened, when he blew up Gallifrey, it wasn't just the Time Lords that got wiped out. It was everybody.
Yeah.
Which is also a problem because we know that not all Gallifreyans live on Gallifrey.
Well, it says here the term Gallifreyan was often used interchangeably with Time Lord, despite indications that not all Gallifreyans were members of the Time Lord Society. The Gallifreyan species existed for eons before the time of Rassilon and Omega, the founders of Time Lord Society.
Right. So it's kind of like, I'm trying to think of a comparison. Well, there really isn't a comparison because it's not like fucking humans mutated. Because I'm assuming Time Lords are genetically different from Gallifreyans. I'm assuming that Gallifreyans can't regenerate, based on the fact that the whole Time Lord deal is that their exposure to the vortex is what made them what they were. Which also makes me wonder if maybe the reason why when we see the Doctor's childhood home on Gallifrey is because normal Gallifreyans aren't that advanced, maybe, compared to the Time Lords.
Well, I mean, you look at all those citizens running around in Day of the Doctor, and they're, like, wearing, like, rags and shit.
Yeah, but no, those are Time Lords, though, because they're living in Arcadia.
True.
They're living in the Glass Dome. So those are Time Lords. As far as I can tell, those are not just Gallifreyans. Those are real Time Lords. Which my problem is when the Daleks shoot them, why don't they just regenerate? That's my whole problem with the whole concept of the Time War. Unless there's something I don't know about, like maybe as part of the rules of like the war, because I'm assuming like all wars there had to be some kind of like Geneva Convention type rules. Like maybe they ruled out regeneration, but I don't see that really happening with the Daleks. I don't see there being rules of warfare. I just see there being just bloodshed.
It's kind of like, you know how...
Unless the Daleks found a way to kill the Time Lords in a way where just shooting them would not allow them to regenerate. Could be.
Develop some sort of ray weapon or something.
The problem is we just don't know enough about the Time War. Especially now that it's more like... It's weird. The less we knew about it, the more it made sense. Now we know some shit about it after Day of the Doctor, and it's like, wait a minute. What about this, and this? Why are the Time Lords using fucking handheld walkie-talkies as communication devices? Why aren't they using like something more advanced? If they're fitting fucking whole dimensions inside of like blue boxes, I don't know. It bugged me a little bit.
Why don't they just pull out their time phone?
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, it's like here's my whole thing. It's like, and I know people are gonna get pissed at me for no, people aren't gonna get pissed at me, but it's like I'm getting pissed at myself because I remember I said once I want a comprehensive book all about the Time War. And now that I think about it, I don't know if I do, because here was my problem. When I thought of the Time War, previous to Matt Smith's run and previous to Day of the Doctor, and based on the way the 10th Doctor described it, it felt very abstract to me. Like the weapons and warfare that were being used were so above us, above our thought, that we couldn't even comprehend the type of warfare. Like maybe we wouldn't even identify it as warfare. But now that we've seen it, it's like it's a bunch of lasers. It's a scene out of Star Wars, which I guess is cool, but it's still like, really? That's it?
We just need a text scroll. Time Wars.
I mean, we also didn't get to see any of like the cool shit that the fucking Doctor mentions in End of Time, where it's like the Nightmare Child, the army of meanwhiles of the king who never was. Like we didn't get to see any of that shit. But anyway, so back to Kill the Moon though. It's a really, I really like it as an episode. I don't think it's my favorite. In terms of like rewatchability. Because I think honestly, the more I rewatch Deep Breath, the more I like it. Because I remember the first time I saw it and when we reviewed it on this show, I had seen it with commercials.
Yeah.
I think without commercials, it's still a little bit strangely put together from a narrative standpoint because it takes a long time to get to the villain plot.
Yeah.
But without commercials and just standing on its own, it's actually really good. It's a really good episode. Still has problems. I don't think it's the best of the season, but it's a really good first episode for Peter Capaldi.
Yeah, I mean that was what impressed me most about it, was that it did a good job of introducing the new Doctor, which obviously is what it needed to do.
It's kind of the point. But
mission accomplished.
But in terms of like fun rewatchability, I like it. I think I really like The Caretaker, and I know we kind of complained about it last time we did this show for like, oh, it's got a bad villain plot, and it's like, yeah, but so does Deep Breath. I think Deep Breath has a better villain plot than The Caretaker, but The Caretaker is so fucking fun.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much, like, quotable stuff in that. Like, the bit that I love, might be my favorite bit of Peter Capaldi so far, is when Clara is outside with the kids playing who are in recess, and they knock over all those chess pieces, and she's, like, scolding them. And you just see the Doctor off to the side whistling, and he's whistling, "We don't need no education." I love that bit. I love that shit. And I did that because I can't whistle. We were just talking. So what did you think of the villain or not villain? This season has also been weird in that it's been very hard to say who's the villain of the episode, Dylan. Because there really isn't one. You know what I mean?
Yes, which is like, why I must ask who you are referring to when you ask me what I thought of the villain or not villain.
Well, I'm mainly referring to the spiders and the moon egg creature.
Ah, yes. At first I didn't know what to make of this episode. Until you get to that twist, like halfway through, it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's like it's like Planet of the Spiders, but without the regeneration. It's like, what?
Yeah, spiders.
Spiders. See what I told you? A planet full of spiders! You all laughed at me! And then they put it in Doctor Who! Now you think it's genius! Spiders! Oh, every time somebody fucking uses alien spiders, Dr. Smith just fucking shows off his shit because he thought of it first.
Spiders!
Spiders! Well, tell you what, Smith. Fucking Doctor Who has been using alien spiders for fucking decades. So go fuck yourself. Spide!
His retort, spiders.
Spide.
But,
anyway.
Of course, they're technically germs.
Yeah, they're not actually spiders. They're big bacteria.
Which is kind of a problem because bacteria don't even remotely look like spiders.
You're very right. And they also have, like, human teeth, which is weird.
Yeah, they have, like, appendages and shit, and it's like they're supposed to be single-celled organisms. How does this work? Like,
Well, I guess the idea, Dylan...
If you're gonna do giant bacteria, you have to make them look like fucking amoebas or something.
Well, if they're built to... If the moon is an egg... And we take into account the moon
By the way, spoilers, the moon's an egg.
Yeah, the moon is... I don't know, dude. That fucking... That wigged me out. I was like, our moon?
It's a chicken. No, it's not a chicken.
I was like, this doesn't seem like a problem for the Doctor. It seems like a problem for fucking Gamera to take care of, doesn't it?
And then it hatched, and Geigen came out.
It sounds like a kaiju plot, like if the moon is a giant egg. And out of it came fucking God Ghidorah, and now it's up to Godzilla and Mothra to put aside their differences to fight. Like it's a fucking buddy cop movie.
Please give us back the moon. It's Space Mothra's egg.
Please give us back the moon. Oh, God. So...
Neil Armstrong's like, no.
it's weird because it's a really dark episode, but the fucking plot is so ridiculous, which I think is part of what works about it.
Yeah.
Because they take it very, very seriously, which I think is the best thing to do. In a case like this, where you've got something so ridiculous, but something that if it were to happen, it'd be very, very dark.
The people in Doctor Who seem to be very fond of those orange space suits from the Satan Pit, because I swear every season.
Yep, he hung on to him, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's been using that ever since David Tennant. He's been using that suit ever since then. I assume that's a sense of continuity.
It's one of the few things from the Russell T Davies era that you can still see.
I mean, Matt Smith only used it like once in season 7, but aside from that, yeah, they've kept them. It's weird. I like it because it almost makes you wonder. It's like maybe they didn't come from the Satan Pit. Maybe those are Gallifreyan.
But didn't all the astronauts in Satan Pit have those?
Yeah, but that's not the first place we've seen them.
Where else were they before that?
I don't know if they were before, but we've seen them in other places after.
Well, then it was the first place we've seen them.
No, but I'm just saying, like, those astronauts weren't the only ones to have those kind of spacesuits.
No, it just seems to be standard model for that time period.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you get the sense that Waters of Mars takes place in a similar like time period era.
Yeah, this is very Water of Mars-esque, except it's way better.
And the moon's an egg.
Yeah, it's way. Did you like Water of Mars? I thought it was so like this is David Tennant's like last like normal episode.
You should call this episode "Yolk of the Moon."
Yolk of the Moon. Scrambled moon.
I mean, Waters of Mars. I like my moon sunny side up.
Fried green moon.
Waters of Mars is an alright episode. It's one of the most watchable from the David Tennant Farewell Parade of Death.
You're not fond of the David Tennant Farewell Parade of Death?
Not really.
Do you like The End of Time?
I have mixed feelings about The End of Time.
Yeah.
I like it and I hate it. It's a very complicated emotion.
Here's the problem with Doctor Who in terms of a logic standpoint.
And then there's Planet of the Dead and The Next Doctor, both of which are just sort of they're there, and they're all right.
Planet of the Dead, I really enjoy The Next Doctor. Well, I enjoy The Next Doctor until the main plot of the episode gets solved, and it just turns into a crappy Cyberman story.
Right.
It's really fun up until the guy gets his memory back, and then it's just really boring. And then there's one really cool, sad line where the Doctor goes, "All my companions break my heart."
I mean,
that was really sad and very, 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 very touching.
I mean, there's a giant Cyberman in it, so it gets points for that.
Yeah, but it looked horrible.
Well, I mean, it's Doctor Who CG, so...
Terrible! I'm assuming that...
It's Doctor Who CG before the show got, like, super rich because it got famous in America.
That wasn't until The End of Time. The End of Time looks really good. For the most part.
And then after that, all the Matt Smith stuff holds up pretty well.
Yeah, most of it does. Most of it holds up good. There are a couple... even as recent as Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, yeah, there's some moments where I'm like, Saw Walking with Dinosaurs almost, like 15 years ago. Look better than this.
This is not Jurassic Park level.
Yeah. But back to Kill the Moon.
However, the combination of dinosaurs and spaceships makes it all right.
I thought I liked all the references to because Doctor Who has been doing a lot more references to like modern social media now because obviously that's a thing.
Yeah, Matt Smith had this whole thing about how he hated Twitter.
Yeah, and then 12 mentioned that you can't put pictures of me on Tumblr. I love that. I also don't know how she's doing that. Like, is Tumblr still a thing? I don't think it is, because there's a line where fucking...
See, they've been doing this thing in Doctor Who where it doesn't matter where you time travel, the TARDIS somehow makes it to where your phone still works and you can still communicate with people in your own time.
But I don't think that's TARDIS, isn't it? Yeah, in the first season they say that the Doctor has to manually do that.
In the first season, Christopher Eccleston has to, like, fuck with Billie Piper's phone, but... Ever since then, it just sort of happens on its own, and I don't know if he, like, programmed it into the TARDIS or something.
Yeah, like in fucking Journey's End. He just gets a phone call on the TARDIS. In the middle of time.
I mean...
When the Earth is in another dimension. What the fuck?
But I mean, that's the TARDIS phone, whatever.
I guess so.
But
no, that's not the TARDIS phone. That's Martha's cell phone.
Oh, well.
The TARDIS phone is fine because that's connected right into the TARDIS. That makes perfect sense to me. It's cell phones on the TARDIS that don't make sense.
Well, I was fine when they showed him like fucking with people's phones, but do you really expect me to believe that he took the time to fuck with the little black chick's phone? I don't remember her name.
Courtney. She's annoying.
Not a fan. No.
Not a fan of Courtney. She's annoying.
Glad she's not a companion.
Also, how is she the president of the United States?
What?
She's British.
Did they say she was the president of the United States?
Yeah. Yeah, at the end the doctor says, she becomes the president of the... Hang on, I have a Peter Capaldi impression, and it's way better than that.
Yeah, what was that?
I have to build up to it, you see, Dylan. You have to fucking get... I don't do the 12th Doctor, I do fucking Malcolm Tucker is the problem. F star cunt. So, Clara, you see, Courtney, she becomes the president of the United States of America. She does. It's complicated. Now, he says it's complicated, meaning I'm assuming there's a very good explanation for how a British chick is the president of the United States. We just don't know what it is.
She lied.
But it's like okay, he mentions she marries somebody, but it's like, does the U.S. Executive system change where for some reason the first lady becomes the president after the president dies or something?
Yeah, that would have to be because you can't just like become an American citizen and then run for president.
No, you have to be born in America. That was the whole controversy with some people thinking Obama wasn't born in America.
I mean, if you could migrate to this country and then run for president, Arnold would have already tried to be the presidentator. Okay.
Oh yeah, totally. That was part of the reason why everybody was like, well, at least we know he'll never be president.
I mean, I might actually vote for him just so I could go around calling him...
He fucked that state.
Just so I could go around calling him the president.
I don't know if the joke would be worth the shit that I heard he did to California.
I don't care about elections.
How are we going to deal with immigration? We will build a wall. Wow.
Not a bad idea.
Why don't you ask the Chinese how well that worked?
I mean, it worked for a while.
It worked for like a day, and then everybody was like, we can just climb over the wall or
they were also fighting an army and not immigration, so...
True, but it's also like, that's such a waste of money. It's a very expensive wall to build you got there.
Yeah, it would be a lot easier just to build a very large electric fence, honestly.
Or, just don't bother.
Or just create drones to man the border with machine guns.
That not with machine. I don't know if machine guns are necessary, but certainly that would be more plot. I mean, I guess when he came up with the idea with drone warfare, it wasn't really like a popular thing. I mean, it was around, but
not
why are we talking about this? We're not political. We don't get political on this show.
But not like the remote control plane drones. I want the fucking hunter killers from Terminator.
Why? Because he was in that movie, and because that movie took place in L.A.
No, because it would be awesome. Why don't we have those yet?
Because of Dylan, the whole purpose of Terminator is so that we don't get to that point. So, did you not understand the message of the movie?
The message of the movie is, hey, don't let your weapons become self-aware.
Yeah, and what would that have to be to work like in the movie?
It would. You could just program it like they do drones right now.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah, but some people even say that we're getting dangerously close to the world of Terminator as it is.
The drones, they're becoming self-aware.
But once it's like, I mean, I don't really want to have this debate on this show because I hate getting political, but just to say this, like, once you program something to make decisions about destroying stuff without human input, that scares me. I'm not cool with that.
All you have to do is have a very advanced algorithm behind all the destruction. Hail Hydra.
Yeah, called Skynet. We all see how well that turned out for fucking John Connor.
I thought the drones is sort of like the hot button like sci-fi issue right now. Like they did it in RoboCop the remake, and they did it in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. It's done much better in one than it is in the other.
Yeah. I'll let you guess which one's better than the other.
In which Sam Jackson practically does everything, but
he's in both movies though.
Yeah, but in fucking RoboCop, he might as well have just come on screen and yelled at the audience, "It's about drones."
Let me tell you every single social commentary going on under the surface of this movie.
This movie is tired of these motherfucking drones.
In the motherfucking skies! Robots should not be monitored in the streets of Detroit. You know what I think the biggest sin that the new RoboCop movie did? PG-13. That's not cool. That's horrible. What's wrong with you? It's a RoboCop movie.
Learn from AVP's mistakes.
Yeah. Learn from RoboCop 3's mistake. That movie was PG-13. It was fucking horseshit.
Well, I mean, also don't have RoboCop.
Though I think that RoboCop the remake is significantly better than RoboCop 3. I would even say it's probably a little bit better than RoboCop 2, but RoboCop 2 obviously has the benefit of being a sequel to RoboCop.
I remember it was either a commentary or an interview with Paul Verhoeven, but he was talking about the first movie, and he said that they had 2 rules. It was that RoboCop couldn't kiss the girl and he couldn't fly, and then they did both of those things in the sequels.
He kissed a girl in the movies, though?
I think he did in one of them, didn't he?
He kissed, what's her name? Lewis in the RoboCop 2 original script. I don't think he kisses her in the movie, and she dies in the third one, so spoiler. I don't think he kisses anybody in the movies.
I don't remember.
I mean, he does fly, though. That's certainly true.
I should watch them again when it's no longer the Halloween season.
He goes all, like, fucking tongue crazy with Lewis in the comic, though. Like, the problem with the comic is, like, Lewis was written as, like, this straight-laced, like, woman in the first movie who didn't have any time for no man. And then fucking the comic, like, she's just fucking naked for, like, more than half the comic. It's fucking crazy.
I'm not sure when the next time is that I can squeeze RoboCop into my watching schedule, though. It's like this month I got horror movies, next month I got Bond. Bond
is next month. I'm very excited. I have to buy the Brosnan movies that I don't have, and I think I'm just gonna suck it up and just fill out my collection. Because right now I have every single Bond movie that I like in my collection. The only ones I don't have are the ones I don't like, which is the majority of Pierce Brosnan's run, a good portion of Roger Moore's run, and Diamonds Are Forever. I have everything else.
I'm glad that I got the Bond 50 box set when I had the chance.
I don't. Well, the reason why I didn't get that was I don't want movies I don't like.
For
$200.
There are very few Bond movies though that I would like actively come out and say I don't like this movie. I don't know. Octopus.
I own Thunderball, but I don't like Thunderball a lot. I don't like it a lot. But Octopussy, I wouldn't come out and say I hate Octopussy.
I mean, I would just because it bores me to tears, but I don't think it's a terrible film.
I feel the same way about Octopussy as I do about A View to a Kill. It's got some. I think A View to a Kill is more entertaining because of Walken, but the plot is equally generic in my opinion.
Oh my god! I just remembered. So fucking the new episode of Law and Order SVU this week, right? This fucking kid, he's fucking killing chicks, and like
he does a Walken impression.
He talks just like Christopher Walken.
Is it intentional, or is it just like it happens?
No, I think it's just the way this dude talks. Like, he inserts the pauses. Like, he puts these videos up on the internet, and he's like, all you pretty girls who wouldn't... And, like, he just puts those pauses in the sentences. I'm like,
hey, all the single ladies out there in the world don't want to fuck me. Very, very mean.
I'm going to stab you. And he does.
Right in the face with a knife.
I mean, he's like... The dude's fucking crazy. He, like, tracks down this chick who turned him down when they were 11 and stabs her 11 times, and then just tracks down this other chick who turned him down when they were 15 and stabs her 15 times.
When it's 11, it's like, how many times the doctor took to get to Matt Smith, who's my favorite doctor?
1.
He does, like, a crappy impression of each actor as he goes down the different cuts, like... I couldn't even try to do a William Hartnell impression, but it's like 1, 2.
I remembered how to get home.
I can't even attempt to do a Patrick Sorry, my dad just interrupted.
He gets to the 8th cut, and she's like, "Thank God, we've only got 3 more." No, War Doctor, bitch.
War Doctor, bitch. And I'm counting Cushing in there too. Fuck you.
And Japanese Doctor Who.
Japanese Doctor Who. And you know what? Just because I don't like you, the anime too. And every single doctor that played him on the stage.
Oh, God. And all the radio dramas.
Oh, Jesus. And that guy from Scream of the Shalka. The other Ninth Doctor.
And I'm also including me from those dreams I have.
when Doctor Who goes American. We haven't even, like... but anyway, back to Kill the Moon.
Oh, yeah.
I like the episode.
I enjoyed it very much.
I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. Love the soundtrack. I love how much pomp and circumstance they have about the moon. I think that the CGI on the spiders is great. I think they look fantastic. I think the creature itself is very, very... You feel the power of it, in my opinion.
You barely get a look at it, but it's
yeah,
like
you don't really see it up close, but...
It's like a huge space insect, basically.
I mean, it's bigger than the moon because it came out of the moon.
Doesn't somebody describe it as like a tick or something?
Well, they say it's a planetary parasite. So...
And then it lays a new egg, so Earth gets a new moon.
I don't know how it, like, shat out a new moon without anybody looking up. Like, that's fucking disgusting.
I mean, maybe it just, like, somehow reassembles the pieces from its egg.
No, that's not what happens at all, because they say that it all disintegrates.
Okay, maybe it creates an egg the same way that Mothra does.
I was about to make that joke, and then you stole it from me.
It is Space Mothra. Please return the moon to us.
Otherwise, Mothra will be very angry, and we won't be able to protect you. And then we will summon the creature to go fight Godzilla. I was thinking, like, listen, fuck Doctor Who, let's get Godzilla to solve this problem. Because he won't have any moral quandaries about, like, oh, should I blow it up or not? Like, he'll be like, fuck this shit. Fucking atomic breath that shit right up the ass. If you get, like, Final Wars Godzilla on that shit, he'll just blow the moon right up. He won't even care.
Just get the president from fucking Austin Powers. Sir, are you suggesting that we nuke the moon? Would you miss it?
But anyway, so Mummy and the Orient Express. So obviously Kill the Moon has this very, like, snappy, big, dramatic ending where Clara doesn't want to go with the doctor anymore, and she says to Danny, I'm finished, I don't want to go with him. Oh, I forgot to talk about Danny. I hate you, Stephen Moffat. I hate you so much, because I can't tell if I'm supposed to like Danny or not. Because he actually said something that's halfway decent as a human being. He's still super patronizing and fucking control freak and drama queen, but he's certainly less, he wasn't as much of a dick as he was in the last episode.
Mm.
Here's my problem now with Clara. Like, Clara... doesn't she strike you as, like, being afraid of Danny? Because, like, remember, like, she's using him as an excuse in Mummy and the Orient Express, where it's like, oh, Danny is okay with it now, so I can keep going. It's like, wait a minute, that's not okay. Why are you gonna end up with a student fuck and have kids and have the ancestors go off to the end of the universe? Sounds like an asshole. I know she was lying, but even still.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really get the impression that she's afraid of him. I just think that was something she said.
It strikes me as weird, though. I don't know. I don't think Clara would feel the need to use that as an excuse.
Hmm.
Especially with the doctor. Like, she's shown many times that she's not afraid of him. I don't know why she feels the need to lie.
But as for the episode overall, I feel much the same about it as I did about Time Heist. You know, it's a fun episode with some interesting ideas that seems very rewatchable. I haven't tried rewatching any of them yet, but it seems like either of them, both of them.
Okay. I would agree.
I'm comparing the two. I haven't actually tried rewatching any of the episodes from this season yet, but those two strike me as ones that I could jump into very easily and rewatch.
Sure.
Just on a whim.
Well, let's get into Mummy and the Orient Express. I don't have much to say, except I really like it. My only issue with it was, and I know we had a slight debate about this in the comments of a Facebook post I made. I still don't really think I fully understand what exactly the Foretold is. So it's a soldier from some God knows what war that's being kept alive by out of date technology that
Stays
keeps it.
Stays in the proximity of that scroll thing because that's actually its flag.
And it phases out. It phases into its own reality, and then brings others into its reality to drain the life from them for power.
Yes.
And it takes 66 seconds to charge.
Due to its faulty technology, it thinks it's still in the war, so it picks off anybody that's in the vicinity of its flag in an order of who's weakest, and going from there.
Alright, here are my questions. One, what war did it fight in?
Oh, I don't know, the fucking Space Mummy War? I don't care.
Why does it look like a mummy, though?
Because it's fucking old.
But why does it... It looks like an Egyptian mummy. What's the... Is it from, like, the Osirians, and is that why it's, like, got the Egyptian thing?
It could be. I don't know.
I wish they would have said that, because A, it would have been awesome, and B, it would have made... Because it felt very... It felt like, alright, we wanted to have a ghost mummy, and now we have to come up with a decent explanation for it. I like the explanation. I don't think it goes far enough, though, because it's like, alright, that's fine, but it wouldn't... Why does it look like that? Like, why does it look like an Egyptian mummy? Why wouldn't it just look like a corpse?
I mean, maybe their society...
Also, is it fucking, like a... Was it, like, bred to be a soldier? Because why would it be so obsessed with that flag? Like, doesn't it understand that the war is over?
No, it clearly doesn't. That's the whole point. It's kind of like...
Why? Is it dumb?
Again, it's being... I don't really get the sense that the Foretold is in control of its own faculties. Like, whatever person it was when it was a living soldier is long dead. It's the faulty technology that keeps it going.
So it's literally just... Oh, okay, so it's like a machine. All right.
Yeah, I get that. It's very much like this thing we just had in The Caretaker. It's kind of the same thing, honestly.
Which is kind of annoying.
Yeah, that's what my impression was.
Here's my problem with the season overall, and it hasn't been, and I get that explanation. I think it makes some semblance of sense, but I feel like the episodes are spending so much time building up, and this is not a recent problem. Doctor Who has struggled with this forever, and it depends on the episode on how successful it is.
If I think I know what you're about to say, Russell T Davies used to do this all the time.
It's well, no, because if I know what you're thinking. Let's just say it because the audience is lost. I think that they spend so much time building up that by the time they get to the end, they either explain it so quickly that it doesn't have any weight, or the explanation is so stupid that you don't even consider it.
Yeah, this was a problem that I often had with Davies' writing. He was very good at building things up and not always great at the whole payoff thing.
Right. But here's the difference. I don't think the explanations are the problem. I think it's how quickly and how much weight they have. I have no problem with the explanation for what the Foretold is. My problem is how it's explained and the connection between what it's doing in the episode and that explanation. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of like, why does the stasis chamber have to look like a sarcophagus? Just because it looks like a mummy? It's not actually a mummy. It's a soldier who happens to look like a mummy. Was Gus doing that just to be dramatic? Also, is Gus like... They didn't reveal the identity of Gus, right? Was it even a person, or was it literally just a computer program?
I'm not sure.
Maybe that's part of the whole Promised Land thing.
It's also Gus is very similar to what happened in Time Heist. If you think about it.
It is. They haven't really mentioned the Promised Land thing since The Caretaker.
No.
Hasn't even come up.
But then there were episodes in season 5 where they didn't show the crack, so I mean...
Fair enough. We're only 5 away from the end now, so maybe they're going to start... Maybe for like 2 or 3 episodes they won't even bring it up, and then it'll become a really big deal in the last like 3, like season 3. The Master and everything. I'm so sad. Doctor Who season 8's almost over.
Yeah, how many episodes are left?
I'm assuming they're going up to 13. Like a normal season of Doctor Who. unless I'm crazy, which is always possible. But I also you know, they also did a really, in a similar sense, in like with Clara's character. Like that was a really big dramatic way to end it, and we don't get to see the middle part at all. Like, didn't you want to see like the Doctor and Clara talk after that?
I mean, but wouldn't that be kind of like what would go on?
Well, because she told him to leave and never come back.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't she? I would have liked to see him come back and be like, "Hey, stop being such a bitch." And it's like, "No, you're stop being such an asshole." It's like, fuck you.
I mean, I don't think you really need it because you had the line at the last episode where Danny pretty much pokes a hole in her logic and proves that she's not done with him.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
all right, that's true. I just thought that it was a really like dramatic way to end it, and then it was just kind of like, oh, they're fine now, but she's not going to keep traveling with them.
I mean, they carried it on in this episode.
I'm not saying they completely dropped it. I'm just saying that they didn't go all the way with it. Is what I'm saying. Like we didn't get to linger with that. Is I think my issue. Again, not a huge thing, kind of nitpicky, but I wished it would have gone into a different place. But maybe that's just me. But what were your thoughts?
On
Mummy on the Orient Express. Any other detailed thoughts?
Oh, not that we haven't already talked about. I mean, it's a pretty basic episode.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's really good though. I really enjoyed it. It's very, very fun. Peter Capaldi being a badass, of course. Still owning it as the Doctor.
The Foretold is
great villain.
Is a great Doctor Who monster. The whole
great one shot. Yeah.
The whole 66-second thing is very interesting. Just the entire mythos that they establish around the creature. Very quickly they establish a mythos around the creature. It's like all the exposition from a Universal monster movie crammed down into like 5 minutes. Like the Doctor sits down with
it felt like a Hammer Mummy movie to me.
Like the Doctor just sits down with the guy at the table. He's like, "All right, tell me everything you know about this thing." And the dude's like, "All right, exposition. Here we go."
Exposition time. And I love how the Doctor uses that to insult him. I've been rewatching House lately because I'm being House for Halloween, so I've just been kind of like watching it to get the mannerisms and everything.
Are you gonna like have a cane?
I have a cane already. Yeah.
Is that all you're gonna do? Because you don't have facial hair, so.
I'm gonna buy some coloring and put it to make it look like a 5 o'clock shadow.
I mean, do you think anybody's gonna get it?
I hope so. I just bought a blazer today that I'm gonna wear. Maybe I should go as far to have an ID badge. I'm assuming that if they see me with the blazer, the sneakers, and the jeans, and a blazer, and the cane, they'll go, hey that's look, Dr. House.
Hey, look, he's dressed up like some douchebag. No,
Well, they're not wrong. But the reason why I bring that up is, like, the 12th Doctor, I want to see the 12th Doctor go toe-to-toe with House. Of all the Doctors, like, those two make the most sense because they're very, very similar. Just constantly being an asshole and constantly testing people and their patience and their, and how far they'll go.
I just want to see the Doctor, like, go to the 70s and be in the circle with Eric and Kelso.
Which Doctor?
And Hyde. Any of them, man.
I don't really see Capaldi in that. I see Matt Smith maybe in that situation. I don't see Capaldi doing that.
Fucking the Doctor hanging out with Leo.
I might see David Tennant doing that.
You know what would be awesome is, like, if you had a time machine, man.
I could see the 4th Doctor doing that.
I do have a time machine. Awesome, man.
That's awesome, man. It's like a machine that runs on time, man. So a time machine? Nah, man. It's a machine that runs on time.
So, like, Doctor, will they ever have a car that runs on water?
Well, yes, actually. It's called a boat. You have them now. No, I meant like a car that runs on water.
You've had boats for 250 million years.
Your people hunted them to extinction. And you ride in their corpses to this day.
Doctor, that doesn't sound right. Are you questioning me on my history, boy?
Haven't you read the documentary series Godzilla Awakening?
I was there,
That's required reading in those classes.
Because Godzilla 2014 takes place in both the Doctor Who and that 70s show universe.
Yes, and the Godzilla 2014 universe. So Godzilla 2014, that 70s show, and Doctor Who all take place in the same continuity.
I mean, there's nothing in any of those continuities to go against each other, right? So
It absolutely does. Are you out of your mind?
Nothing in Godzilla contradicts that 70s show.
Fine, but plenty of stuff in Doctor Who contradicts any Godzilla continuity. Godzilla as a creature cannot exist in Doctor Who without having been mentioned before now.
Anything can happen in Doctor Who.
Don't you think Doctor Who the Doctor would have been like, hey, there's this giant fucking radioactive dinosaur that was if we're talking about 2014 continuity anyway, that was awakened in 54 and killed a bunch of people. And then they faked like of all the people, the Doctor would probably know that the H-bomb was covered up to try and kill something, right?
I mean, maybe, but at the same time, he didn't even know that the moon was an egg.
That's true. It's very, very true. All right, maybe God. All right, fine. But if like, maybe not. Like all the shit in Torch would happen, then he didn't do anything. All right, fine. Godzilla 2014 can take place in the same continuity as Doc. Wait, but why is everybody all of a sudden so mystified by the concept of a giant monster? We've been invaded by aliens for centuries.
I don't think. Yeah, but like none of them were Godzilla.
But it's like, why are they just like, oh, two giant monsters are fighting in Hawaii? Deal with it.
But I mean, isn't but were we attacked all those times, Bill? I don't know. After all this crack shit, I don't know what's in continuity anymore.
Well, we know some things have to be in continuity because Danny doesn't seem that surprised that aliens exist, just that Clara is a part of it. So I think alien invasion is a common known thing. It's just that it's not like it's like terrorism, I guess, where it's like we're not afraid that it's always going to happen, but it's always in the back of our mind. I'm assuming in the Doctor Who universe.
Well, Danny seems to have this ability to accept out there sci-fi concepts the same way somebody does in fucking Gamera the Invincible.
No, they're not that believable. Where they're like a giant Atlantean turtle. Sure, why not?
No, but it's like she explains to him all this time traveling bullshit, and he's just like immediately like, yes, I believe you. All of this makes perfect sense.
He's got no choice. He just saw this fucking crazy bullshit happen in front of him. It's not like he can say no, that was all fake, unless he's an idiot, which he might be, but.
But there's like no skepticism whatsoever. He doesn't like call in the fucking army like most people would do if they found out there's a fucking alien.
I mean, he says he wants to, though.
He does mention doing that, but Clara talks him down from doing it, and he's just like, okay.
He's like, no, fuck you, we're calling the goddamn army. But then Unit would have just responded, and it would have been fine anyway.
I'm just saying, man, he accepts it a little quickly.
No, I mean, everybody does. Like, if Doctor Who was realistic, he would never have a companion, because they'd all die of heart attacks.
This would be him showing people the TARDIS scene ever.
Every single companion would have put a bullet in their brain the minute they stepped inside of the TARDIS, because of how crazy it is. Like, the fact that exists is insane.
Like, he pulls this shit every time where he opens the door and shows them that it's bigger on the inside. The line that they're missing that everybody should say every time is, what the fuck?
Are you out of your... I'm gonna... Oh!
Holy shit.
What's the matter? Dude. I can't do it. This bigger... I just have a massive aneurysm because it's like so... It's so insane. You just can't accept it. I ain't taking none of this bullshit. Bigger on the inside, aliens and shit. Oh, garbage cans rolling around saying exterminate.
What if I told you there's a train in space that looks like a train from the 1920s?
Oh God!
And there's And there's a ghost mummy on it. But why does it have cars? I don't know.
What is it running on?
Space coal.
No, they explain that. Isn't it like some kind of like cosmic rails or some shit?
Oh, fuck that. Space coal.
Space coal. How do you buy that, Dylan? With space bucks?
Yeah.
Which you acquire through your space job?
That's how you get your space ticket.
Right, of course, okay.
Mm-hmm, yeah. See,
The space conductor?
The space conductor is very, very picky about those space tickets, so you gotta make sure you got your space ticket.
You gotta make sure you get it from Space Ticketmaster in advance.
Or they'll throw you out the space lock.
Right. No, that's called an airlock, Dylan.
The space airlock.
They're different things. There's airlock, and then there's the space airlock.
It locks out space.
It's like an airlock, man, except it's in, like, space.
It'd be awesome if, like, we had a lock that, like, kept in air, man. We
do, Leo. We do.
Awesome, man.
Awesome, man. I'm, like, so happy I live in a world where that's a thing, man. I can sleep easier tonight. I never knew that was a concern for you, that we didn't have fucking airlocks.
See,
what are you, fucking Ellen Ripley from Aliens? Alien? Not Aliens?
See, this is why fucking Leo should hang out with the doctor. He could become a space hippie, man.
Oh, I'd be a space hippie. Space hippies are the best kinds of hippies. Because they're hippies in space.
Because when they say, like, whoa, this is cosmic, man, you know they're telling the truth.
They're not lying. They're not exaggerating. They're absolutely right.
You are undoubtedly correct, sir.
You are... The fact that you could not be more right, that this is cosmically insane.
You are the first hippie in the history of ever to say that, and it was true. Congratulations.
Get a cookie. Awesome, man!
Awesome, man.
Cookies are like God's gift to man, man. Now I'm pretty sure humans created those. Awesome, man!
I wish I had a cookie right now, man. I just gave you one. Awesome, man.
What happened to it, man? Did you steal it? No, you ate it. Awesome, man.
Wait,
if you say awesome, man, one more time, I'm going to throw you out of the space airlock. Awesome! Fuck you.
Wait, if this is a cookie, man, what did I give my dog, man?
What did I give my dog, man? You gave it the other cookie. Awesome! Fuck, Leo.
Wish I had a dog, man.
You do have a dog.
Awesome, man.
Oh, God. Oh! I can't.
So Mummy on the Orient Express, fun episode.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good time for the whole family.
It is a good time for the whole family.
I've heard people say that this season of Doctor Who is not appropriate for kids. Do you agree?
Man, when I was a kid, I was watching fucking, I don't know, man. But
yeah, but modern kids are so like fucking sheltered and.
Well, modern kids can suck a tit. I don't care.
I mean, some of them do.
I mean, well,
but it's like, here's my thing. They have access to the internet. They can see, like, fucking an octopus fuck a rabbit on a daily basis. What's wrong with fucking an abortion reference in Kill the Moon?
I mean, there's all these references. I mean, there's all these memes on the internet. It's of, like, dolphins trying to rape people. Kids have seen this shit.
Right? There's no such thing as being sheltered in the age of the internet. At least right now. I'm sure one day it'll be fucking processed and managed, and it won't be what it is now.
Unless, of course, you live without the internet, in which case you can be sheltered.
Well, I hope one day you get out from under your rock and join the modern world. That is how you simultaneously insult and praise the internet. I feel very accomplished.
If anybody listening to this show does not have internet,
I'm sorry, and I don't know how you're listening.
I suggest you get it. I recommend internet.
It's the internet is good, no?
Ask your doctor.
Let's just review the internet.
Ask your doctor if the internet is right for you. Also, how are you listening?
I'd love to know. Did you like download it from somewhere and then bring it with you? I mean, I've done that.
This is some voodoo shit, man.
This is some black magic. This is like some serpent in the rainbow shit. And you're Bill Pullman.
Oh.
That's a crazy ass movie.
Oh.
Not my favorite zombie movie. That is probably That's a really good question.
Fucking white zombie.
No. I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid, and that was one of the first movies with Bela Lugosi that I ever watched and fell asleep because of how bored I was. I haven't tried to watch it since. It's like fucking Pirates of the Caribbean. When I was a kid, I fell asleep while watching it, and that was always like an omen of like, don't bother. And then later in life, I'll retry it and find out that I thought it was okay.
Bela Lugosi seriously got fucked by Universal.
How so?
It's like, the Boris Karloff got all this, like, exposure because he played the Frankenstein monster, like 3 times, and then he went on to be this huge star and did all this other shit. Bela Lugosi, it's like he was in things, but he always got the short end of the stick, and, like, he only got to...
He was always the second man to Karloff, which is weird, because he's arguably more iconic in his role than Karloff is. Like, the design of the monster is I think Lugosi's...
He only got to play his, like, most famous role one more time, and it was in fucking Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
It was a parody. Well, it's not a parody. It's a comedy that happens to feature those monsters. It's not really a parody. That's a really good movie. Very, very funny.
It also can't be in continuity with anything, but then again, continuity is...
Dude, don't even try with fucking Universal. You'll hurt yourself. How many times did Lawrence Talbot die? Like 15?
I mean, but at least they explained how they brought him back in like the...
In Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman.
Yeah, but then you get to fucking House of Dracula, and it's like, look who's here.
It's like, wait a minute, didn't he get shot in, like, the heart with a silver bullet last time?
I mean, I guess he can...
I guess the idea is that if he's exposed to moonlight, he can be brought back to life. So I guess maybe that's what happened. But they don't say that. They don't
Because, I mean, getting shot with a silver bullet can't be much different than getting beaten with a silver cane like he was in the original, so...
So I assume the idea is, like in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, that as long as his corpse is exposed to moonlight, he can be resurrected. Which is fine, I guess.
Right.
That's fine, that's realistic. That could happen. You know what's very, very interesting?
What?
Werewolf history.
Why is werewolf history very interesting?
Because it's fucked up, and I like fucked up.
The first werewolf to ever be elected president was...
No, yeah, like we have Black History Month, so Werewolf History Month. Like, if werewolves... That's a movie right there. Like, werewolves and vampires are like normal members of society, and with normal humans, too.
What was that president?
And they're like fucking races and shit. It's like Werewolf History Month, like Werewolf Martin Luther King Jr.
Where was that president? Which president was it that had those, like, huge, like, epic mutton chops? Turns out he was a werewolf. Nobody's surprised.
Oh, that's a great question. Was it Grant?
I don't know.
I just heard the creepiest fucking sound outside of my window. It was the guy going, whoa!
Nice.
And I was like, that's a terrifying sound.
No, it's not Grant. I should have known that.
Fucking... I don't care. Does that make me unpatriotic? Is that I don't care which president had mutton chops?
Yes, so you should care. Which president had the epic mutton chops?
Well, I'll tell you, Dylan, how much I care.
I mean, I just typed President Mutton Chops into Google, and I got images of...
President Mutton Chops! Oh my god, that is an episode title right there. President Mutton Chops.
I mean, I got some images of him and some other people with mutton chops and the rent is too damn high guy. But, like...
The rent is too damn high! Anyway.
That guy's got to be a werewolf, right?
The rent is too damn high guy?
Yeah, can't you picture him as a werewolf?
Sure, why not? You know what, Dylan? Yeah, fine, he's a werewolf. How does that make you feel?
The moon is too damn bright.
The moon is too damn bright, and it needs to be full more often. Do werewolves who have accepted their werewolfism want to turn into werewolves?
I don't know.
I guess it depends on how much the control they have over it.
Van Buren is President Mutton Chop's name.
I didn't even know we had a president named Van Buren.
I don't even know, like, half of their names.
I know, like, 7 presidents.
I know, like, Washington, and then there was Lincoln.
No, I know...
No, there's Jefferson and Franklin in there.
Hang on, no. Benjamin Franklin was never the president of the United States.
I thought he was at one point.
No!
Am I wrong?
He was never the president!
I know who I'm thinking about. There's another president whose name is Franklin, but it's his first name.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Oh, well, then there's two, because I'm thinking of a different guy.
Alright, hang on. Without looking... You gotta do this on the honor code. I'm believing you on this. Let's name all the presidents that we know. Maybe this will be embarrassing, but whatever. It's not like we do anything any worse on this show. So, here are the presidents that Dylan and I know without looking at a list. So, obviously, Washington. Then there's Adams.
Wasn't Jefferson before Adams? Or was Adams second and then Jefferson?
No, Adams was second, I think. Then there was Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson. Then there was that dude who did something in the South during the War of 1812.
And there was President Mutton Chops.
Van Buren. Who was the guy... Shit, what was his name? Who was the president who was a fucking... He was like this badass soldier, and then he just became the president?
Teddy Roosevelt?
That was way later. I'm talking about... War of 1812.
Oh, weren't they all soldiers back then, man?
I can't think of his name.
They all did shit, man.
Then you've got...
I know John Adams had a son who later became president.
Then you've got...
And I know Andrew Jackson.
Who was before Lincoln? That's it! Andrew Jackson is the president I'm thinking of.
Yeah, and I know him because he's from my state.
Right, that's right. That's why I was thinking of it. Who was before Lincoln?
Fucking, I don't know.
So then there was Lincoln. Then you have Grant.
Yeah.
Wait, was there somebody in between Lincoln and Grant? Because I know, obviously Lincoln got shot. I don't think Grant was the vice president.
I think there was somebody in between Lincoln and Grant. No idea who it was. No idea who it was.
Yeah, he was the reason why Reconstruction took so long.
I know there's a president who's...
was because he fucked around for a couple of years after Lincoln died.
I know there's a president...
Oh, what was that motherfucker's name, though?
Fucking, I don't know, man. Let's move on.
Alright, so you had fucking Grant.
I know there's a fucking...
Then you had Kenneth Branagh.
I know there's a fucking president whose name is Garfield, and that makes me happy.
You were such a child. Grant... I can't even attempt to think of presidents after Grant. Once we get to, like, the 1900s, that's when I start to, like, actually cognize who the presidents are.
Then we skip to Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I don't know any other presidents in between fucking Ulysses S. Grant and Theodore Roosevelt.
I think that's, like, a difference of at least 10, or almost 10.
After this, we'll go to a list. So then you have Teddy Roosevelt, who was a badass. Then you have then you have Calvin Coolidge?
No.
No.
Calvin Coolidge was a while later. I think next is, I want to say Taft.
That's right. You're right. President Taft. Then it's Herbert Hoover?
No, because Herbert Hoover was around in the fucking 20s with the Hoover
20s
towns.
and 30s. Who was in between Taft and Hoover?
Quite a few people. I just don't remember who they were. I think one of them was...
So then fuck you, Dylan. I was right.
I think one of them was Harding because of the whole teapot scandal.
Was Calvin Coolidge after FDR?
No.
So then where does Coolidge fall on this? So if we're thinking... I can't think of anybody between Taft and fucking Herbert Hoover.
I'm pretty sure Coolidge is before Hoover.
Alright, so Coolidge is in there somewhere.
There's some people in between Taft and Coolidge, not 100% who they are.
Then there's some people in between Coolidge and Herbert Hoover. Right?
I don't know, man.
Alright, so let's go from there. Then we have Herbert Hoover, who fucked everything up.
But after Hoover, I can pretty much.
Who was after? Was FDR right after, or was there somebody in between? I think there was somebody in between.
You see, I know my presidents after Hoover. Then it's FDR, and then Truman, and then
Truman,
then Eisenhower, JFK, Johnson, Nixon, Ford.
Hey, wait, slow down, slow down there, Speedy. Wasn't there somebody in between Eisenhower? No, wasn't there somebody in between Truman and Eisenhower?
No.
You sure?
I'm almost positive. Like I said, I know my presidents after Hoover.
You know what Eisenhower started, dude?
What?
You know what Eisenhower started in terms of a government program?
No.
Project Blue Book. You know what that shit is?
Yes, I do. I just couldn't remember which president did it. Now I know.
That's fucking Eisenhower, man. That's fucking... He started all that alien bullshit.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Hoes.
But then we had JFK, and then they fucking blew his brains out, and then we had Johnson.
Then you had Johnson, then you had... Nixon was right afterwards?
Mm-hmm. Then Nixon. Then Ford.
Ford.
Mm-hmm.
Then
it goes Carter, Reagan, Bush, Bill, Bush, Obama.
Wow, you knew that. Wow, you knew that shit. I would have struggled with that. All right, so let's go back and do all the ones that we couldn't remember.
Like I said, I'm good after Hoover. Everybody before Hoover's a little.
U.S. presidents. All right, here we go. Presidents of all the United States.
Of all of them, as opposed to.
So we got the first three right. George Washington was 89 to 97, so he was president for 8 years. John Adams was president from 97 to 1801. Thomas Jefferson was 01 to 09. Then there was James Madison, who I should have remembered. Then Monroe. Then John Quincy Adams. I know all these names, I just couldn't think of them.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Jackson. Martin Van Buren.
President Mutton Chop?
That's President Mutton Chops. William Henry Harrison.
Never heard of him.
John Tyler. I never heard of him either. Oh, he looks like Peter Cushing. Then there was James K. Polk, who I've heard of.
Yeah, like a shit ton of stuff named after him. Like,
yes.
You find Polk shit everywhere. I don't even know what he did.
I have no idea. I don't know any of these presidents. Zachary Taylor, Millard Fillmore. Some of them didn't even do full terms, though. That's probably why we don't know them. Zachary Taylor was only president for a year.
He probably got sick and died or something. It's very common back.
All these presidents are fucking ancient. Then Fillmore was only president for 3 years. Franklin Pierce ran a full one. James Buchanan was before Lincoln. I knew that one.
Hmm.
Then there was Buchanan, Lincoln. There was somebody between Grant and Lincoln, Andrew Johnson. He was the guy who fucked up Reconstruction.
See, I always forget Andrew Johnson because I get him mixed up with Andrew Jackson. And then
or LBJ.
And then I just forget that there were two people named Andrew J. something.
Then you've got Grant. Then you've got Rutherford B. Hayes, who I've heard of, President Hayes.
My county is named after him.
James A. Garfield, who we mentioned before, who wasn't even president for a year.
President Lasagna, as I like to refer to him.
Very funny. Then you had Chester A. Arthur, who I've never heard of. Grover Cleveland, who I have heard of. Benjamin Harrison. Then Grover Cleveland was president again?
Yep,
How does that work?
He came back and ran for another term, and he got it.
Is that... No, you can't do that, though. I guess that was changed in the past 100 years.
You realize that the rules have changed quite a bit. That's why FDR has such a long reign, because before then they didn't even have the 2-term limit. So the FDR just kept getting elected.
Right. Okay. So Grover Cleveland was president twice. Then William McKinley, who I've heard of. Then some guy named Theodore Roosevelt, who nobody knows about.
Who ever heard of him?
Then there's Taft. Oh, I forgot about Woodrow Wilson. What? I always get him and fucking Herbert Hoover mixed up.
Mm.
But there was Wilson. Then Warren G. Harding, who I've heard of, but he didn't matter. He was only president for 2 years.
All I know about him is that there was some sort of political scandal, and he got...
Wilson was president for 8 years. That's why I've heard of him. Coolidge was president for 6 years. Herbert Hoover was president for 4 and fucked everything right the hell up. Then you get to FDR, who was president for 12 years.
Yeah, a good run.
Truman. Then, of course, you had Truman, who was president for 8 years. and that's when the 2-term limit was established. Then you had Eisenhower, JFK, LBJ, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush Sr., Clinton, Bush Jr., and Barack Obama.
What?
So now that we've thoroughly bored the entire audience,
Why did we name the president?
I don't know, Dylan.
Do you remember?
Don't ask questions.
Do you remember the conversation that led up to this point?
Not a fucking clue. Let's name how many of them the Doctor has met. So Nixon. And that's about it.
That's about it.
I love that though, because it's like Nixon is like, he goes to the Doctor, will I be remembered fondly? And the Doctor's like, sure.
Well, and then there's, he did meet whoever that fictional president was who the Master killed.
Oh, that motherfucker, yeah. So then some of the Doctor Who presidents have to be fictional, just like the prime ministers.
Oh my god. Chester A. Arthur's definitely a werewolf.
Oh, that was what it was presidents being werewolves, and you mentioned the mutton chops, dude.
Alright, President Mutton Chops.
Fucking Van Buren.
No, his name's Mutton Chops now.
Do you have any particularly favorite presidents, Dylan?
I mean, not really.
I mean, I'm not really a political guy, I'm not really a history guy, but just on like a pure, they sound cool statement, I love FDR. I do agree with a lot of his policies, though, so I like him. I know he's also, I have the wheelchair connection because of my brother, so I respect him for that as well. I love both Roosevelts. I thought they both did good work. Teddy Roosevelt was a Bigfoot believer, so I'm with him.
Without Truman, we could not have Godzilla.
True. I don't know if that makes him a good guy, though.
I mean, it's good enough for my book.
I guess we do have Truman to thank for Godzilla, though. Alright, I'll take that.
Him and everybody else who worked on Project Manhattan.
Oppenheimer. I'm sure Oppenheimer wouldn't be that happy about his contributions to fiction, though. He would actually probably like Godzilla, though, because Godzilla's obviously against the whole nuclear thing, so I guess he would like Godzilla, but not like that Godzilla had to exist to protest nuclear power. But I also I like JFK. I know some people have some problems with him, but he was a big supporter of rights for the mentally disabled, so I'm a big fan of that. He was a big civil rights guy. That's cool.
Obviously, Teddy was a badass.
Yeah, I mentioned Teddy.
Did you?
Yeah. I don't really have any feelings on LBJ through, like, Reagan. I know Reagan is a controversial one. Some people love him, some people hate him. I don't care.
I mean, the man was a big Star Wars fan, so...
Yeah, exactly. He went to the UN and said, one day we're gonna get fucking invaded by aliens, and then all you motherfuckers are gonna come running to me. They're like, we're so sorry for causing war, and then we're gonna have to deal with some real shit.
Unfortunately, he died before that happened.
Yeah, it still hasn't happened, so it's been a long time coming.
One of these days.
Bush Sr., I was a kid, so I don't remember. Same thing with Clinton.
Yeah, I barely remember Clinton.
I remember the tail end of Clinton. I remember the blowjob. That's about it.
I remember the blowjob.
I like Clinton though as a dude. I don't identify as Democrat or Republican. I don't care.
Much like a blowjob, Clinton started out strong, but then fizzled out disappointingly.
Sure, why not?
Then there was.
Need we mention Junior?
I miss those days, man.
The Junior days?
That was funny as shit.
Obama has his moments, though. Obama's more funny to, like, make fun of in a way where it's like, he's just such a funny dude.
But has Obama ever smoked weed with Harold and Kumar?
No, but Obama has had an anger translator, and that's pretty good, too. Those videos are great. The only way you could ever get me to care about politics is if it could all be filtered through Key and Peele. All the political news, just filter it right through Key and Peele, and I'm there. Schleicher!
Also, you gotta love Eisenhower for
Eisenhower's alright.
for getting the ball rolling on that alien research.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I like Ike.
Yeah, sure.
I'd cook out with that guy.
Yeah. That reference in Indy 4, yeah. That's about all the presidents I like.
I'm fascinated by Nixon.
Oh, I also love Lincoln. I'm a big fan of Lincoln.
He's a fascinating person, that Richard Nixon.
Yeah. Have you seen the Oliver Stone movie, Nixon, with Anthony Hopkins as Nixon?
No.
That's one that, and I still haven't seen JFK actually, to be honest. Those two movies are like on my I need to see those movies list because they both sound amazing.
I don't really watch president movies.
I don't either, but I've been really into like
that's a genre.
Dramas lately, so
that's a genre now.
Sure, of course.
President.
In the same vein, I really want to see W. For the reasons of I made fun of it once and I think it's funny and
W.
And I hated Josh Brolin, but now I think he's brilliant. But anyway, those are about all the presidents I like. Grant was a badass because he was played by fucking Zed in right? Well, he was played by the guy who played Zed in fucking Wild Wild West, right? The guy who played Zed in Men in Black.
I don't remember, man.
Is that the same actor?
I don't know, man. When you say Zed, the only character I'm picturing is fucking Lord Zed from Power Rangers or fucking Zed from Pulp Fiction.
The Wild Wild West.
Two very different characters.
There was a movie I grew up on that didn't hold up well, The Wild Wild West. Okay. I had the soundtrack for that movie. I had that on cassette tape. I used to listen to it constantly.
So many movies that I grew up with that didn't hold up well.
Same thing with fucking... This one's even weirder. The fucking soundtrack to the Scooby-Doo Alien Invasion movie.
The soundtrack to the movie.
Yeah. I listen to that shit constantly.
That's awful specific.
I mean, I was a kid, so I don't know what to tell you. That and the Shrek soundtrack, too.
What I love are the movies...
Barry Sonnenfeld directed Wild Wild West. Oh, you poor, poor man. I like him, too. That's sad.
What I love are the movies that didn't hold up from childhood yet are so bad that I adore them. Like fucking...
For instance?
Jingle All the Way.
Yeah, sure.
I can watch the fuck out of Jingle All the Way. Put that cookie down.
Put that cookie down! I cannot find out who played Grant in fucking, let's see, maybe I can find it. Maybe.
He directed Misery?
Barry Sonnenfeld?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a weird Barry Sonnenfeld movie.
Usually if I think of him, I'm thinking of fucking, like, Big. Or fucking...
Who the fuck
or the fucking
played,
the fucking Addams Family movies, but dude did fucking Misery.
That's weird, I didn't know that. Who played Ulysses S. Grant? Oh, Kevin Kline played Grant as well as Artemis Gordon?
Who?
The guy who played Will Smith's partner in that also played Ulysses S. Grant.
Oh.
Don't you just care, Dylan? Don't you just care all over the place?
Oh, yeah. So much.
Oh, I didn't know Will Smith was supposed to be in The Matrix.
He was?
Yeah, he was supposed to be in The Matrix.
What was he supposed to be doing in The Matrix?
He was gonna be Neo.
Oh.
I could see that. I mean, why not, right? Why not a world where Will Smith was Neo?
As long as he punches a robot and says, "Welcome to Earth," I'm good.
Oh, Dylan, I think that'll do it for this episode. I feel like we just kind of stabbed in the dark for a while, but that's kind of what this show is, isn't it?
Kind of.
Announcements, really only one on my end, unless you have anything. Demons from Outer Space, 1 year anniversary, woo! Coming up soon. We had somebody, I don't remember their name, in the comments of the previous episode guess what the anniversary is going to be, but not what we're doing it on. I will not say it. You can go back and find out for yourself, and you can get excited.
Yes. So
they got part of it right. They got what the nature of it is, but they didn't guess the subject. So that little not contest that's going on is still open if you're still interested. But that's coming up soon. It's going to be big. It's going to be bad. We're going to have a new intro, new title card. It's going to be sexy. So just like SOS. So yeah, it's going to be cool. So look out for that coming in about 3 weeks, I'd say. We're also going to do, previous to that, the week before, we're going to do a Halloween special. I'm not sure what we're doing for that yet. We'll talk about that then. Probably nothing crazy. Probably just talk about some Universal movies that we like and maybe do a Halloween game or something like we did for Thanksgiving. We'll see what happens.
It'll probably be exactly like a normal episode because we won't stay on topic.
Exactly. We'll try to start off that way, and then we'll end up just talking about fucking President Mutton Chop's dick.
Okay.
Imagine his pubes. Jesus Christ. That would be some fucking flashbacks right there.
There's a mental image for you.
So Dylan, do you have anything to announce?
Yeah, actually.
Oh shit.
As I mentioned before, and I'm not sure when this will be up, it could be before or after this episode of DFS, we'll just see. But the 10th episode of Kaiju Spotlight's coming out soon, as well as the DBZ movie review on Battle of Gods.
Indeed.
Also, coming up in the near future, but this hasn't even been recorded yet, so we'll see what happens. Me and Adam are planning to review the Daimajin trilogy.
He mentioned you guys are doing this. Cool.
And so that'll be happening at some point, and that's about it. Other than obviously Godzilla Odyssey is ongoing.
Yeah, Godzilla Odyssey, of course, as always. Go like the Facebook page. It's in the description of this video.
If you haven't already, go read the first 2 issues. They've both received glowing reviews.
Dylan's very happy.
And
you, of course, as always, like the SOS Network homepage on Facebook for updates on our group.
Indeed.
I think it always goes without saying. But that's also in the description. You can follow me on Twitter for the rare occasion that I tweet things, but I do tweet things, and most of the times I don't also put them on Facebook because Twitter is actually easier to use, so sometimes things go on Twitter that don't go on Facebook, so.
Please remember to always have your pets spayed or neutered.
Yeah. So you can follow me at Bill Worster, at Bill_Worster on Twitter if you're interested. Don't friend me on Facebook because I have too big of a friends list as it is. Not to sound arrogant, but it's just a statement of fact. My timeline is a fucking minefield of crap.
Keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle at all times.
Yes. Put the lime in the coconut and shake it all up.
Look both ways before crossing the street.
Yep. Let's come up with all the don't feed them after midnight.
Always wash your hands to avoid Ebola.
Always wash your hands after they're soiled.
After they are soiled. I don't always soil my hands, but when I do,
I prefer those eggies.
I wash them afterwards.
Because I'm not a fucking gross asshole. But I think that's going to do it, kids, for this week's fine episode of the Demons from Outer Space. Until next time, I'm Bill Worster, a.k.a. Zazubaar.
I'm Super DM64.
And reminding you to remember that dem Germans, they fucked up.